This is the AT&T Quickfire, a new messaging device made by UT Starcom. Let's check it out. On the front you can see a generously sized touchscreen, which will light up here for you to see. Some software buttons along the front panel there. The only hardware buttons, physical buttons here, are along the bottom edge of the phone. We have a send key, a menu application switcher key, and a end key. On the left side of the phone we have just a volume toggle here. The button works well, is easy to find, and feels good under your thumb. Nothing along the bottom. On the right side of the phone we have a camera key as well as a voice command key. On the back you will see just the camera as well as vanity mirror. That's a 1.3 megapixel camera, by the way. At the top of the phone we have a hatch covering the micro SD port and the data and charging port. You'll notice the lack of any standard ports on here. That's a proprietary port. And this is the power and lock key. Of course, the Quickfire's claim to fame is that it has a full QWERTY keyboard for messaging. So the keyboard is good, feels comfortable. The keys have good travel and feedback, and overall it's one of the better keyboards we've tested on a messaging device in recent memory. So now let's take a quick look at the user interface of the AT&T Quickfire. The main screen here is always populated with these 4 software buttons. This one takes you to the main menu, obviously to the dial pad, your music, and your contacts. You can also use this button here on the bottom to switch quickly between applications and easily hide that as well. Let's show you the main menu. Now the Quickfire has a touch capacitive screen, and in our experience, touch capacitive can be very responsive. Unfortunately, the Quickfire is not as responsive as we'd like it to be. We often find ourselves making double and triple presses to get things to work. We'll go into the settings menu here. You can see it has a simple list, and you use this scroll bar on the side to jump between different menus. And so that works pretty well. And then there's a back button here to jump back out to the main menu. So that's the basic user interface in a nutshell. Doesn't get much simpler than that. And the Quickfire is preloaded with plenty of messaging. And one interesting thing you'll notice, if you open the Quickfire, it automatically brings up a messaging focused view here. We have our messaging, our email, our instant messaging, our address book. So it defaults to applications with which you're going to use the keyboard to interact. So if we jump into messaging, you can see we have our new messages. This is for text and or picture messages. So let's do that. We'll compose a new message real quick. So now it defaults to the message itself, the content. So we'll just type in phone scoop here. So you can see that's pretty basic. Options, we can add in symbols or emoticons. Let's put a smiley in there because we're in a good mood. And so there we've got a nice little thing about phone scoop. And we can also add media, simply images, videos, audio, etc. Now we want to address it to somebody. We hit the To tab, and you can jump into your contacts, see your recent messages or calls, or if you accidentally address it to the wrong person, you can change it. So, and of course you can also just type in a number, which we will do right now. Hit send, and you're all set. Let's jump back out to the email menu so we can get a look at that. So it's of course web powered. So here's the basic email view for Yahoo, which is the client I happen to use to sign in. It'll take just a moment, and looks like we've got some email. So this is the newer Yahoo web client email that we've seen on many different phones now, and it's pretty easy to use and makes sense and lets you jump around to all your different folders pretty easily. And of course you can make some selections to the options to control how it all works. We'll exit out of that. Obviously, you have instant messaging and access to your address book. And if you want to get to the main menu, hit the More button and you'll get this entire list of applications. Last thing we'll show you of the Quickfire is the browser. Because it has a 3G access for AT&T, it has a pretty decent browser, which you can see is made by Polaris. And it will load here in just a few seconds. And there is the MediaNet homepage. Of course, the homepage looks the same as it would on any other AT&T feature phone, and the user interface has just been adapted a little bit for touch. We've got a zoom button here and an options button here, which would let you interact with the settings of the phone. You can see we can go to our history, we can display things, we have lots of tools and search possibilities. We'll close that. We always have the back key here, and we have a button here that lets us type in a URL. So let's do that. Type in a new URL. And we'll go to Phone Scoop and go and see how long this takes to pull up. So we've got a pretty good signal, 3G signal here, and looks like it's loading fairly decently. So the page is mostly loaded at this point, and we can scroll around, and you can see our review of the Quickfire right there on the home page, and we're going to add this video to it in just a few moments. So it's a quick look at the browser, and we have some navigation keys, and this button here will let you switch to horizontal or vertical mode depending on how you feel. So there you can see it switched to the portrait mode. So that is a look at the AT&T Quickfire messaging device with 3G.